everybody. Welcome to Dungeon Deadly Delights of Marriage Made in Horror. Of course, Rob DiLauro. This is my wife, Melody.
What's up?
We were going to do some stupid thing where we're going to cosplay Mickey and Mallory. We're not doing any cosplay this time around, guys, so sorry for that. But we did build a new set. So there's that.
He built the new set, and it cost a bookshelf.
There was some casualties.
There's a reason why it was where it was.
No, we absolutely, we needed to change the set. We're trying to, make it more, horror-centric and stuff when it comes to the show. So it definitely needed to be done. So I hope you appreciate the effort. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. It definitely helps us with the algorithm. Love you, algorithm.
Yay.
Love you very much. So we're going to focus on our new episode where we are actually calling to Catch a Killer in honor of Oscar Perkins' Longlegs, which has been out for a while now. But we're just getting into it now, which is kind of cool because I wasn't expecting it to be the massive sleeper hit that it is. It's huge.
It's so good, yeah.
It's huge. It's a huge movie. It definitely made well over its budget back, and it's still continuing to, rock the box office when it comes to independent horror. Let's catch a killer with our first deadly delight tonight, which is I Saw the Devil.
I saw the devil.
But I did not shoot the deputy. Yeah, so this is a movie that me and Mel actually saw, when we first met each other. I think it was 15 years ago.
Was it?
No. It was about 13 years, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But, I Saw the Devil came out, and, we were just both really blown away by it. And honestly, I wasn't a big fan of, Korean horror.
I was.
So it really just kind of, changed my perspective. But it stars Lee Byung-hun, who is actually he is in Squid Game. He's the leader, the guy with the mask.
Yep.
And Choi Min-sik, of course, is in Old Boy. But these are two, these are the De Niro's of the Korean world.
They're A-listers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even A-listers, just legends, legendary actors.
Untouchable.
But Lee has done, some American stuff. He did, G.I. Joe, I think, and, other movies.
Yeah.
Choi does more, Korean stuff, I think. But, yeah, this is a fantastic movie. Dare I say a masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece.
So Mel, what did you think about I Saw the Devil?
All right, I Saw the Devil definitely stands the test of time. Okay, so the whole point with this movie is that I'm going to summarize it. This is almost a 3-hour-long movie. It's a very long movie, and there's many twists and plots to it. The whole point
is... It's the dark night of Korean films.
And I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's a lot. There's a lot. This is not one you want to watch in the dark. Okay, so basically this serial killer ends up killing the
you want to
fiance.
watch all horror movies in the dark.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I do. Anyways,
horror movies and chill.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So a serial killer ends up killing the fiance of a special forces super cop, pretty much, who was also the daughter of a police chief.
I think he's internal affairs or something, right?
No, he's a special forces. Special forces, yeah. So, and then her father was the chief of police, really big wig up there. The whole point is the father-in-law knows that the son-in-law is gonna find this serial killer. There's this whole cat and mouse thing where the super cop finds out who this guy is. He catches him in the act of doing something nefarious and beats him near to death, throws cash at him, shoves a tracking device into his mouth, makes him swallow it, and he's tracking him. And every time this man goes to do something nefarious, he beats the crap out of him and sends him to go get healed so he can basically live out his revenge dream to make this man feel every ounce of pain that his fiancée felt.
Right, because he cut his wife, his fiance's head off.
Oh, he cut her up to pieces. He chopped her up in pieces. And this is right in the beginning of the movie when you see this. The whole point...
In a really dark, really just dark in tone scene that was set in the snow. So it's really just beautifully shot, even though it's really grisly.
This movie is very beautifully shot. Do understand this. This director is absolutely fantastic. This DP did an absolutely fantastic job. And the FX makeup artists were spot on. With blood and body pieces and everything. It looked absolutely fantastic and realistic.
So let's talk about Choi's character, because this dude is absolutely like just a monster.
Oh, he is a monster.
from back to front. He's a serial killer. He's a rapist.
Yeah, he's a rapist.
He might be a cannibal.
He's a sociopath. He feels nothing. Like, he could listen to a woman, like in the beginning of the movie when the fiance is like, please don't kill me. And he's like, tell me why. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And then he immediately goes to start chopping off body parts while she's still alive. This man is absolutely horrible. He has a son, teenage son, doesn't care about him, pawned him off on his parents. This man has no emotion whatsoever except to fulfill his own lust, which whether that be within raping or in murder.
Yeah, and the other guy is the complete opposite. So basically it is, it's sort of, to me, it weirdly feels like a Western, because you got your black hat and your white hat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the whole point is that the more that this super cop is going after this guy, and
he's becoming the black hat.
He's becoming more and more of a bad guy himself, because of the things that he is doing to actually get back at this man.
He's ruined his life and career.
Yeah, he does. In the end, his life is ruined. His career is ruined. And but he does get his revenge.
Our next Deadly Delight, when it comes to catching a killer, is a film that, we absolutely love the Swedish version. Stig Larsson was the one that did the books. I read all the books growing up, like in my early 20s. If you are a man who doesn't like the idea of, like art putting you in a negative light, don't watch this movie and don't read the books, because every man is terrible.
In this one, every man is terrible. Yes.
But we want to talk about David Fincher's version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, starring Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. Look, I think Rooney did an incredible job. That was big shoes to fill when it came to that part.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Originally, I don't know if you knew this or not, but there was actually like pictures like floating around and stuff. I think the first idea they were, in terms of a star, was Scarlett Johansson, which I don't know if that would work or not.
I mean, she can play pretty much anything, but you need somebody like less curvy. You needed somebody who was more pixie in stature. Yeah. Like you needed that tall, lithe, bony, like not so much bony, but like very sharp in features.
Yeah. Well, actually, this film is interesting because like there's two different like genres that are kind of blended in with each other, because you've got like the business side and then you've got the actual like criminal like murder side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like it's sort of like a tech drama, and then also unfolds into a serial killer story a little bit.
Well, I think the whole point is the tech brings in the whole serial killer. Well, anyways, let's get into this. Okay, so the whole point to this movie is that there is a gentleman who runs a magazine with a woman, and he is a very smart, and he's very good at investigation and writing. And his business partner is also married, but they're having an affair. Anyway, so he ends up putting out an article about this business mogul, about some nefarious things about him, but he ended up getting trapped. So his whole his reputation goes to shit, and his business ends up getting sued for like $600,000. So there is a family that actually hires this young girl and to investigate about him, because they want to actually use him to figure out what happened to the granddaughter, because the granddaughter disappeared, which was like they figured she'd been murdered. They don't know what happened to her, and this uncle, it's like a great uncle or something. It was his brother's granddaughter,
right? And
he's trying to pull him in and be like, hey, listen, I will pay double your salary. You can stay here at a house. I want to find out. I want you to write my memoirs, but most importantly, I want to find out what happened to my great niece. Okay, so this is what happens, and then as he's investigating everything that's going on, he's beginning to realize that this young woman knew that there was a serial killer. on the loose. So he brings in this young investigating this. Well, she's like really
Elizabeth Salander.
She's
very smart, obviously.
Oh, she's super smart.
She's extremely isolated, super resilient, knows how to fight and stuff, but she could also be neurodivergent, which is interesting.
Yeah, she very might be. She might be autistic. I don't know. Yeah, there's a high possibility. She's not sociable. She does not like to be touched unless she does the touching first. She's super, super smart. Like, she can get stuff done, and with hyperfixation.
Yeah.
You know, there's the whole issue in this movie where she's a ward of the state, and her ward ends up having a massive stroke and having brain damage because of it. So she had to get a new ward of the state who turns out to be a horrible guy, and he does some bad shit, and then she ends up getting back at him. Yeah, oh yeah. And she gets back at him, and she gets control of her finances. When after that happens, she gets called in to actually work with this guy. And he's like, I know you know everything about me. I have something that might interest you. I want you to work with me. And she ends up working with him, and they end up working together really well as a team. And the whole point is they find out that there is a serial killer.
Right, but the murders have to do with blood ties, familial blood ties. It also has to do with possible anti-Semitism.
Oh yeah, well, like there's a Nazi. There's a Nazi in the family. Like, yeah, and like this is like one of those really big, wealthy Swedish families. These two are trying to find out what's going on. How does this connect with this family? These serial killings with this great niece that's like she's missing, she's dead. We don't know what's going on there. And the great uncle, he just wants to know because he really loved her and he was really worried about her. And he was like, there was something she wanted to tell him. And then she disappeared.
He was getting all kinds of cryptic notes.
And every year on his birthday, he was getting plant pressing. And he's like, it's from her killer. Yeah. It's got to be from a killer.
Our next deadly delight when it comes to catching a killer is a film that was also based on a novel by James Deaver. And there was like a huge list for this movie. There was like every like actress you could think of under the sun at the time. They were going to get De Niro. They were going to get this person to play the Lincoln Rhyme character. Which is sort of, like he's like a Sherlock Holmes, like a bedridden Sherlock Holmes, right? But he was cast, Denzel Washington got the part, and of course Angelina Jolie, who was like in her ultimate prime at that point, she got the part of the New York cop that was working alongside him. But we're talking about The Bone Collector, which is a fascinating film because, I don't think that the reveal is all that great, but the way that the killer the way he is, like he does these puzzles and stuff, really makes the film pop, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what do you think about The Bone Collector?
I love this movie. I mean, I've seen it 20 million times.
Yeah. Well, she can talk about her thirst trap, and Angelina Jolie back in the day, it was just.
She was, dude.
Unreal to me. But anyway, she's excellent in this movie.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. And I think that. The chemistry between the two main characters was absolutely like sparking.
Yeah.
So the whole point to this movie is this young woman.
Well, he's Denzel Washington, of course.
Hello. So the whole point to this movie is this young female cop. She comes across a scene where there's a finger sticking up in a train track.
Yeah, it's a train track.
And she has
subway.
And she has to stop a train, and she sets out this whole area, makes sure pictures are taken, and that the scene has been completely like a CSI kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
And she's just a regular cop. She's not, she's a regular New York cop. She's not a super cop at all.
No, she's just a regular cop.
Actually, Denzel Washington would be the super cop. He's the super brain.
Yeah, well, he ended up getting hurt really, really bad. So he's literally bedridden. He can't move a lot of his body, but he's super brilliant.
She would be like Holmes to his Watson. Or,
yeah.
sorry,
she'd be
Watson to his Holmes.
Yeah. So pretty much, he finds out about some killings that have been going on that are set up kind of in a weird way, like puzzles.
Very
puzzles.
Victorian era puzzles.
Right, and the one killing would let you know about what's going to happen in the next killing, okay? And so he finds out that she did this, so she has this natural talent. So he brings her on, so she would be his eyes and ears on scene. Like, she's there if something goes bad.
They have a whole setup with cameras and stuff. He can actually see everything, and he tells her, like, make certain movements and stuff. Of course, you know, when we get to some really brutal killings in this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Involving steam and another one with
God.
rats.
Oh, yeah.
She's just like, I can't do this. And she starts freaking out and panicking, and she's just like, let me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because it's
too much. She's not trained for it.
It's a grisly murder scene, and she's just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So I think I love that dynamic a lot more than, you know, Angelina Jolie's just, you know, like, hey, I can just, you know, like, walk into anything. You know?
Like, no, I'm not going to cut off this hand. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that
like,
was actually one of the things she had to do.
We haven't even truly confirmed if this woman is dead yet or not. What are you talking about? This just happened.
He's like, you need to saw off the hand. I need the prints. And she's just like, no way. No fucking way, dude. No.
No, not going to happen. But you get into the whole dynamics of between him and her actually working together, and they actually fall in love.
The whole team's really great.
Oh, yeah.
You got Queen Latifah as his nurse, and she helps out a lot, you know, when it comes to the puzzles and stuff. And, like, the cop team that, you know, is around him, it's, like, all a bunch of really great supporting, you know, characters.
And your friend is in this movie, too.
Yeah, Michael Rooker's in it, too. Ex-friend, whatever.
He's sick.
But anyway, you're following this killer, and, like, he's doing these amazing things with, like, this book that's, like, an old... It's like an old book from, what, the 1900s or something?
Yeah, it's like a detective book.
It's called The Bone Collector.
Yeah.
And that's why the movie's called The Bone Collector. Our next deadly delight when it comes to catching a killer is, you know, the film we just mentioned.
7.
This is another David Fincher film. I didn't realize we had 2 David Fincher movies on here, but you know what?
He's good. He's good.
It's good. What I do know about this movie is that it was actually written by a scriptwriter who he wrote the spec script because he ended up moving from the country to the city, and he just realized how horrible it was to live in the city, and he came up with this idea of how grim and dark the city actually is.
Was it New York or Detroit?
They never really mentioned.
Atlanta?
I think it might have been New York
Los
City.
Angeles?
But the thing about this movie, like, the city is very, like...
Houston?
It's vague what it is. You know what I mean? It could be Gotham for all we know.
I think it has more of like a New York kind of feel.
Definitely, but they never mention it. They never mention the city.
Or maybe even like Philly, or like, you know.
Could be Gotham. Who knows? But we're talking about 7.
Chicago.
Which is just another work of art, in my opinion. I can't tell you how many times I've watched this movie.
I saw this in the theaters when I was young.
Me too.
I was in the Navy, and we had pulled into the ship I was on had pulled into Maui, and I went and I saw this movie by myself in the theaters. Yes, by myself.
Yeah. So what do you think of 7, Mel?
I love this movie. It's so gruesome, you guys. This movie is hands down gruesome. It's where the saying comes. This is the movie. The saying, "What's in the box?" comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have 2, actually one detective that's like kind of this Corpone guy, and you know he's been a cop in a small town, and he ends up working with Morgan Freeman's character, who's like
getting ready to retire.
He's getting ready to retire, but
he's like, I'm over this. I'm done.
Yeah, he's like, forget this shit. I I've had enough of it. But then he gets thrust into a situation where there's this string of murders that are happening based on the 7 deadly sins.
Grotesque.
And the characters are Mills and Somerset. Morgan Freeman's obviously the more grounded one. He's the one that's like highly intelligent.
Gwyneth Paltrow's in this too, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, she's the main linchpin for this movie, which we find out at the end. But she was also married to Brad Pitt at the time. Yeah. So Mills is he's cocky, he's headstrong, doesn't think about things before he does them.
He's kind of a dickwad.
He's sort of stupid, you know.
Kind of, yeah.
But just the way they work together is so fantastic. You know, because you got his bravado, and then you've got
a lot of
Freeman,
machismo.
who's always level-headed.
Yeah.
Always level-headed. So let's talk about the kills, because like you said, they are gruesome.
Oh my God! There's the one where this guy's being force-fed food until he freaking explodes.
Yeah. So we have the heavy-set man that they find, who was force-fed spaghetti.
Oh, more than just spaghetti. A lot of stuff.
Linoleum off the floor. You know, because I guess like there was a puzzle like in the back of the refrigerator because he was taking the linoleum off the floor and feed it to the guy, and he was trying to like take them.
linoleum,
yeah, right. And he's trying to take them to the fridge. You know, if you're smart enough, you can figure it out. You push the fridge out, there's a message there.
Yep.
We had Vanity, where a lady basically like just tears her face apart.
Yep.
We have a lawyer who
cuts his flesh off his body.
Yeah, pound of flesh.
Pound of flesh
like
off
the
his body.
Merchant of Venice. Yeah, pound of flesh,
Yep.
no more, no less.
You have the guy that's in bed and starving to death, and you have all these little Christmas trees hanging up on the ceiling. You know, the
Dude,
ones
I
you put
also
in the
saw
car.
this in the theater. Can I tell you how much that terrified me?
When he was still alive.
When
the guy was still alive. He wasn't
dude,
dead.
First of all, one of the most tense scenes in the history of film, hands down, because you got all these cops coming through this room, and there's all kinds of air fresheners like hanging from the ceiling, and it's just such a beautiful like set in terms of like the grisliness and the darkness of it. And then they're just like, oh, we found this guy on the bed, and he's, you know, basically just starved himself or whatever. Like, he's just tied to the bed. And, you know, like, he just looks like a zombie anyway.
Yeah.
So then
Of
they
course.
turn around, and this dude basically goes, and you're like, it's like, what the fuck? Dude, I jumped. If I was a cat, I would have jumped at the ceiling.
Yeah, I think I did jump. I think I did jump.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, and then you have the one scene where the guy was forced to rape a woman with a strap-on that was a sword.
It had all kinds of swords and
It was a
spikes on it and
sword.
stuff. Let's talk about Kevin Spacey, because I know, you know, this is the elephant in the room. I know he's been making the rounds recently, you know, in terms of trying to get his, you know, his career back.
Okay, so let's face the facts. The man is a deviant, but he is a fantastic actor. Okay? Should he be around young men? No.
Yeah, but again, you know, like, we have to impart the fact that art is subjective. So can you separate the art from the artist? At first, originally, I didn't think that was possible, but now I'm starting to realize that you actually can. I couldn't bring myself to never watch this movie again because Kevin Spacey's in it.
He plays a really good villain.
He's stunning.
He's amazing in this movie. He's really, really, really
That's
good.
the one thing about the, you know, that's the worst thing about this whole thing. If, you know, if it is true, you know, it's alleged things or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of, like, you know, accusations that were, like, kind of pushed out of the courts and stuff. So we don't know. But what I do know is the guy, despite all that,
is a fantastic actor.
One of the greatest actors to ever live.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
And actually, like I said, he was making the rounds in terms of, you know, trying to get his career back. And the one thing he said in a recent interview was that he pressed the studios to force him off the poster because he was actually doing really well in his career at that point. And they were just like, no, you have to, you know, you have to be top billing on the poster. And he's like, no, wouldn't it be better if I just show up, nobody knows who the killer is, then all of a sudden it's like, holy fuck, that's Kevin Spacey. Which, I mean, clearly worked so much better in terms of effectiveness. Because he turns himself in, you know, and he's like, you know, obviously
and he had burned off his own fingerprints.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the fact when they found his lair. They found his apartment with all his journals. This man is batshit crazy. He, like, really thinks, like, the voice of God is speaking to him.
And that's the one thing I want to say about this movie. I don't know who did set design, but bravo, man. Jesus. I mean,
fantastic.
I mean, even all those books, apparently, like, that were on his shelf, because he was documenting everything for years.
Yep.
They literally made books that were full of different newspaper clippings and stuff. They literally made those books.
Wow.
So it wasn't like, you know, sometimes, you know, you work on a shitty set. And you have a
design.
book, and, like, the book is, like, you know, completely empty.
Yeah.
No, it had, like, the entire history of...
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He literally thinks he's doing right. He literally thinks he's hearing the voice of God. He literally thinks he's doing the right thing. And, we need to do the spoiler alert.
Well, here's the other thing, too. He also wanted to be sensationalized.
Oh, yeah, he wanted to be famous.
He wanted to be famous.
So yeah, this is like your social media. This is your social media person before.
There's a really great scene where they're in the car and they're heading off to the scene where you're about to tell, you know, in terms of the desert stuff or like the desert area. And he just basically says, you know, like, oh, you know, because, you know, Brad Pitt's like, oh, you're gonna be a fucking t-shirt at best or whatever, and like, you know, and Kevin Spacey's like, no, my work is gonna be studied and studied and studied forever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be so fucking memorable. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially after the last thing that I do.
Yep.
Spoilers here for 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So
What's in the box, guys?
What's in the box? Okay, so Kevin Spacey's character obviously has been watching Brad Pitt for a while, and his sin was envy. So while Brad Pitt is off gallivanting around with his partner, taking care of, all these other scenes and everything, looking for him, he goes to his house and finds his wife. And he's super jealous of everything that Brad Pitt has. Mm-hmm. The wife disappears. What's in the box? What's in the box? Is it her head or is it the fetus of her baby, unborn baby? We don't know.
It's actually the head.
It's her head.
It is absolutely.
He takes her head because he wants to destroy Brad Pitt's character, and he wants him to kill him.
I'm actually going to post a picture of it, but it originally was a prosthetic head, and they were actually going to show it in the film.
They didn't.
But they decided not to make it more mysterious.
They should have.
Yeah.
They should have.
But when you open the box, you do see like wisp of blonde hair.
Because Morgan Freeman's character is like, "Don't come near her. Don't come over here. Stay over there." He's like, "What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?" Because his wife's missing, and this guy's goading him on, saying, "I'm always so jealous. I was so envious."
Right. So he's going to make Brad Pitt wrath.
Yes, and that's how he wanted to end it, where Brad Pitt ends up killing him. So that would be the last part.
And you know what? I'm going to be real honest with you. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's done a lot of really amazing work, but this is probably one of the best performances in Brad Pitt's career.
Oh.
I mean, just the way he's trying to process it, and he's like, he's sad, but he's like,
angry.
You know what I mean? And Morgan Freeman's like, no, don't, no, don't.
And the worst part is the guy reveals to Brad Pitt's character that she was pregnant. He didn't know. He didn't know.
Here's a better question. Imagine being that fucking courier that had to drive the head all the way out to the desert.
Not knowing.
What is he thinking?
He's probably like, I was just paid to dig.
Hey, I was just paid to bring this box out here.
This was just on my list of deliveries to make here.
Yeah, man. What a day for you.
Poor guy.
But yeah, this is a masterpiece. I love this movie. We're going to talk about a lot of masterpieces in our opinion in this. In this episode. Our next deadly delight when it comes to Catch a Killer, this is an interesting one because, the cop isn't great. He's a scumbag. Actually his name is scummy too. His name's Scagnetti, but we're going to talk about Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers, which is another movie that I absolutely love. I saw this in the theaters maybe 3 times. Mm-hmm. I remember even my friends were clutching their pearls when it came to this movie. And I came out like, yeah! I was losing it. It was so good. But Natural Born Killers, if you guys don't know, it was actually a script written by Quentin Tarantino. Mm-hmm. This is around the time where he was working at the video store, the famed video store. He was trying to make money for Reservoir Dogs, which of course would be his first film. Could have been also a short film called The Birthday Party, I'm not really sure. But Quentin Tarantino says, don't watch this movie, it's dog shit, I don't want any part in it. That's interesting. He hates this movie, but he was the one that wrote it. So Oliver Stone took the helm when it came to direction. Oliver Stone from Platoon, and he's a Vietnam vet and kind of wild, and there was real mushrooms and LSD and stuff on the set. And yeah, go watch that Natural Born Killers documentary because it's absolutely insane what those actors went through.
Now, mind you, this movie is really like being on a trip.
Yeah, because they were tripping balls.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even the whole visuals and everything, are you in a cartoon? Are you in a show? Are you this movie is so freaking trippy. It is insane. Don't take anything and then watch this movie because you'll probably freak out. Bad.
It's just so funny to me that when this movie came out, it was so intense for people that they were just this needs to be banned. It needs to be burned.
It was considered offensive then. It's even more offensive now. But it is a great movie.
Not to us.
I really like this movie.
Not to us, and I'll tell you why. Because you watch it now, and maybe I even got that aspect of it then when it first came out. But there's nothing serious about this movie.
There's nothing.
It's a cartoon. It's a violent cartoon.
Yeah.
These characters are you couldn't make them more fictional if you tried.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even the comedy that's really black. I mean, she's being obviously assaulted by her father and stuff. But to have Rodney Dangerfield saying, "Hey, why don't you go upstairs and show me how clean you are?" It's just what the fuck is going on?
Right?
Like, even Rodney Dangerfield, like, saw the script. He's like, you want me to say what now? He's like, he like, didn't want to do this.
Wash his mouth out with bleach. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you wearing? A broomstick and a trash bag?
Yeah.
But he says some really wild shit. And, you know, so you get into her life and, like, how horrible it is. And then, you know, Woody Harrelson's just a meat man that comes and kidnaps a young girl. She's probably, like, 16 at this point.
15,
He's probably, like,
16 years
26
old, yeah.
or something.
Yeah, well, he's balding, that's for sure, already at that point.
So, yeah. So they go on this, like, murderous romp with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mean, you basically, like, you've got them doing their thing, but...
They're going down Highway 666!
The main villain of the story is media.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this movie.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, like, media, you know, like, when it comes to politics, when it comes to crime, when it comes to all this shit, like, they do sensationalize everything.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the main point of this story, was that, you know, even somebody as horrible as Mickey Mallory would be, like, you know, just, like, top tier
Elevated.
to people because of
Media.
the bullshit that media speaks
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Exactly. And that cop... Oh,
Yeah, this is Tom Sizemore who plays Scagnetti. This is the guy that's actually after them. And he is, well...
he's a scumbag.
He's a
And a killer himself.
rapist, and he might have murdered somebody. I think he killed that Pinky prostitute.
Probably did, yeah.
You know? Oh, yeah, because she scratches his face, and he strangles her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's thinking about Mallory at that point. So, like...
Yeah, he just wants to bang Mallory.
No, he wants to kill her.
Oh, he wants to kill Mallory.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's, like, strangling the prostitute, thinking about Mallory. And then he goes, Mallory, I'm coming to get you, or something like that.
Yeah.
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 So, like, this dude is, like, just top-tier scumbag.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is normally something you don't see when it comes to the catch-a-killer situation that the cop is really bad. It's usually, like, this legal eagle that, like, does nothing wrong. You know what I mean?
Right?
So it's
like,
an
no,
interesting
he's
dynamic.
like, he's a dirty cop. The second half of the movie is about being in prison.
The second half of the movie is literally, like, Mickey's dissertation of... Which is clearly taken from interviews of, you know, Charles Manson, all these different killers that they actually... I think Woody Harrelson actually took a lot of the bits from their quotes and stuff to make this huge dialogue. And, you know, we're talking about, you know, like Mia Goth and her incredible 6-minute dialogue when it comes to Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
His dialogue must be 25 minutes.
Is it really that long?
Of just, like, him just saying, like, you know, like, hey, you know, Wayne, you know, like, just talking about, you know, being the rabbit and, you know, like, just everything he's talking about, you know?
Yeah, he was talking about his youth and what actually happened to him and why he ended up becoming a demon, and that how love would actually save him and heal him.
Yeah. So I actually
And
have
he was
this...
talking about how Mallory was actually healing him. Her love was
Right.
healing him from being a sociopathic killer. Yeah.
Yeah. You said love kills the demon! It can, and it will.
But you're our last.
But anyway, you know, like, he's, like, doing this whole thing, and it's, like, live, like, it's, like, Super Bowl numbers, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously, like, Mickey's plan is, the last thing that he says, like, the fucking prison's just gonna go into a frenzy. And, like, there's a huge riot that breaks out. I have this memorized, so, like, at the end of the conversation, like, Wayne Gale looks at Mickey and he goes, so, I want to know, why the fuck do you do what you do? What makes you so special that you know, da-da-da-da? And he just goes, shit, man. What? And that's when things get fucking nuts.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Natural born killer.
And in the theater, even when I was young, I was like, yeah! This dude... And also, can we talk about the soundtrack is awesome.
Oh, it's
my
amazing.
God.
Oh, the soundtrack is amazing.
I am going to say this, though, about this movie. Watch the director's cut instead.
If you can get your hands on it.
Is so much better.
If you can get your hands on it. That's the thing.
There's a great scene with Ashley Judd, who, you know, like, she's actually, like, testifying for them killing her brother. And Mickey is actually, like, he's defending himself. And it's wild. It's wild. And what he does is absolutely, like, just insane. Our final deadly delight when it comes to catching a killer is, God, man, this is the bar. This is absolutely the bar that I've been talking about. When it comes to any serial killer film, everybody thinks that they can reach this bar, they can jump over this bar. When it comes to, like, critics, when it comes to this, this is untouchable.
Untouchable.
Untouchable, even to this day.
Yep.
But we're going to be talking about Silence of the Lambs.
Yes,
because
I love
it
this
is
movie.
It is the mother, the father, the the
Clarice.
just the axis of serial killer film, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is, it's like, it's perfect. I don't see one thing wrong with this film.
I don't either.
No, nothing wrong.
I don't either.
So if you guys don't know about Silence of the Lambs,
go watch it.
Good Lord, man.
You really need to go watch it. Now,
It's based on a
this
book.
one, this is another one that's going to offend you if you get offended easily.
I was about to get into that. So it's actually based on a book by Thomas Harris, which I've read numerous times. Thomas Harris is, as an author alone, is just so graphic when it comes to, like, just Buffalo Bill's lair down in that basement and stuff. He's so detailed when it comes to the steps, when it comes to... And actually, Thomas Harris was actually one of my great inspirations when it came to me writing my own books, is that I just wanted as much detail as possible. I want you to live in that world. I want you to be in there. You know what I mean? Vagueness just doesn't work for me. And Thomas Harris is not a vague writer at all. So when Jonathan Demme took this on, he just did all this stuff visually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everything about this movie is just fantastic. From Jodie Foster,
Great one-liners came out
to
of
Sir
this
Anthony
movie
Hopkins. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about Silence of the Lambs?
It puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose again. Yes. So this movie, there are many great one-liners that have come out of this movie. Like, I fuck me. You know, there's a lot of great one-liners, but you have to go along with this movie.
So basically,
so good.
So basically, here's the gist of it. You got Jodie Foster. She's an FBI trainee. She's being trained by Scott Glenn. She's at Quantico. We have the opening where young Jodie Foster's like running through the woods and stuff. She's constantly like working, constantly training. And there's been a lot of comparisons to Micah Monroe's Lee Harker character from Longlegs. This is definitely the main inspiration for her, for sure, 100%. But she's just she's a very to-do young woman. And, the thing I love about this movie is that, like, even when she's around other men and stuff, like other FBI trainees that happen to be male or cops that happen to be, male, like, she's always smaller than all of them. So it always feels like there's some sort of intimidation there.
Yeah.
But she doesn't allow that to come into focus. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like when, they're doing the autopsy and she's just like, hey, you can go now. Like, thank you. And all the cops kind of look at her like, who the fuck is this girl? You know what I mean?
Right.
She's like, thank you. Like, you can go now. There's too many
yeah.
rooms, She's not broken by that kind of thing. You know what I mean? What she is broken by, and the only thing I think she's broken by, is her past when it comes to her family, and also Hannibal Lecter is the only guy that can get to her.
Yeah. You gotta remember, this man is very suave. He's very sophisticated. He's highly intelligent. He's a psychologist. So he knows how to get into your head. And he's a cannibal.
Swipe right, it'll make a good meal. This guy is...
And he's a cannibal.
He's wonderful.
Yeah. Chef's kiss.
Swipe right.
Just make sure to bring the Chianti with you.
Sure.
And fava beans.
So she's actually working with Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter, who happens to be a doctor, and Dr. Lecter is a cannibal. I mean, there's really nothing else to it. She's working with Dr. Hannibal Lecter to find Buffalo Bill, and that's all they know. Buffalo Bill is Buffalo Bill, and he ends up dropping like heavy-set women into lakes, and after like cutting off pieces of their skins.
Come to find out, he's trying to make himself a flesh suit so he can turn himself into a woman.
Right,
and they'll have to be size 14, so don't be size 14.
This is where the controversy comes in, because originally when this movie was nominated for an Academy Award, this is something I'll always remember. It was nominated for a ton of awards. And actually GLAAD, like all the gay rights groups, were outside like protesting this film because of the way they felt it made trans people look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is not only just because of that, but, we constantly talk about Jodie Foster, we constantly talk about Anthony Hopkins, but Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill is one of the greatest performances ever.
Yes.
Ever.
Like,
he's so scary.
Believable. Not like comical or anything, but actually believable.
No, he's so scary.
Oh, yeah.
So fucking scary. Like, a lot of people like to throw that meme out there, like, he's got his dick between his legs or whatever. but it's so much more than that. Like, this dude is literally trying to transform himself.
He's trying to turn himself into a woman.
You know, that's why he's like into moths and stuff, because it's all about transformation. So like, you know, even when Catherine is like in the well, like, because he ends up stealing a senator's daughter, not because she's a senator's daughter, just because she's the right size
and she has great skin.
Say, are you size 13? And he does the whole thing with that Ted Bundy used to do. He wears a fake cast. He smashes her over the head, like, you know, she's trying to help him lift a couch into a van. But yeah, you know, so that was the only reason. It wasn't because, like, you know, like he had some sort of political agenda or whatever. He just happened to be she had to be the right size.
And had great skin.
Right. It's the bar.
Go watch it.
It's the bar. Stop saying things are Silence of the Lambs. This is the bar.
Stop it.
This is the bar.
Can't.
You can't. You really, really can't. Yeah. Yeah.
Longlegs is fantastic, but it's not fucking Silence of the Lambs.
No.
I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
And neither is Trapped. Stop that shit too. Silence of the Lambs meets Taylor Swift. Get the fuck out of here.
Silence of the Lambs it can't be beat. Sorry.
Nope, absolutely not. So that is our show, guys. Thank you so much for your continued love and support. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It definitely helps us out with the algorithm. Yeah, and join us next time, and we'll scare you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Are you the guys hiding out in the attic?
We're ghosts.
What do you look like under there?
Aren't you scared?
I'm not scared of sheets. Are you gross under there? Are you Night of the Living Dead under there?